About 15 years ago, a story happened to me that I had never told before. I had just gotten married at the time, and we had no children yet. My first husband, Kolka, was a distant sea captain at the time, and he was often away from home. You know, a young woman suffers a lot when she's alone, especially without sex. I'm no blue stocking now, even less so back then. But it was my job, oddly enough, that saved it. I worked as a storekeeper in a 24-hour service, a 12-hour shift 2 in 2. After that, you don't want to do much. I came home in the morning, had an orgasm from a warm and firm shower jet, and went to sleep. But that day I could not fall asleep so easily, despite my tiredness. And all because the walls of our Krashestvo were thin, as if they were made of plaster. And in the apartment next door lived some young tenants, and I just closed my eyes, and behind the wall began a real mess. Women's moans were so loud, like they were pulling the cat's tail. Well, I think they're here. Either the upstairs neighbor was drilling, or they were drilling behind the wall. Okay, on average, I have sex for 3 or 4 minutes, and I can tolerate it. These guys were just a couple of minutes. I was relieved when they came back. Oh, they're relent. This time it was longer. She must have sung for 10 minutes. I already found earplugs and plugged them in my ears. But it doesn't help. All the same, these moans and screams are like in my brain. I knocked on the wall. They kind of stopped screaming. And then again, what a nuisance. I don't know what to do. She's screaming again. She's fine. But what should I do? Anyway, I got up, put on my robe, and went to their doorbell. Came out into the hallway. There the whole hallway concert can be heard. It's strange that no one else is complaining. Anyway, I went up and rang the bell. The bell did not ring, but I could hear these moans and even the creaking of the bed. As if there were not a couple, but the whole regiment was having fun. I pressed the bell again, and again it was silent. I pulled the door knob, and the door was unlocked. I don't know what moved me at that moment, but I went inside. The apartment was kind of like ours, only it hadn't been renovated since the time of Tsar Gorok, and the furniture was all old, covered in gum wrappers. Here's the room that's next to mine. I go in, and what do I see? 2 girls lying on an old disassembled couch. One is smaller, pale, with shoulder-length black hair, and in her hair, strands of pink dyed. Pale, with a nose piercing. My breasts are small, almost like a boy's, with only sharp pink nipples sticking out. The second one was bigger, more pumped up, with breasts like mine, size 3. Dyed blonde, snub-nosed, and covered in rings and piercings. And they're lying there with their legs spread, and they're being taken in turns by this guy, all tattooed. He's kind of cute and all. Face with a strong chin, broad shoulders, cubed abs. Kolka was like that when we first met. His dick wasn't as big as my husband's, but it was okay, too. Anyway, that's the picture. He takes one at the ankles and the other, spreads his legs wide, and drives his weary bolt in. And they yell loudly and almost identically to my ears, as if one was repeating the other. And I'm standing there, frozen, not sure where to put myself. And I can feel myself getting turned on by the sight of it all. Especially when I saw him thrusting his piston into them, and they were twitching their legs. The one with the black and pink hair rolled her eyes and was not moaning, but mooing, because he was pumping her so well. The other one was rubbing her clit, and she had an anal plug in her ass. I thought I was going to faint from a mixture of fear and excitement. And when the guy came out of the first one, he suddenly turned around and saw me. I froze with horror, as if trying to pretend to be a pillar. And he came up to me with his prick cock cocked and looking piercingly. His eyes were black, like they were staring into my soul. Then the girls got up and came over to me from both sides, started sniffing me. The blonde said, "Smells so sweet." If you want to repeat with the girl what was in the video, follow the link in the description.